Hello again, welcome back, I'm Hiro. In this video we're going to be discussing mass combat, or big melees, in other words. Number one thing I want to mention, I already said it in an earlier video, but if you're used to fighting with one of these, don't treat a glaive like it's just a shorter spear. There's a lot more to it than that. So I'm going to lump glaives and greatswords kind of together. Your role on the battlefield is you are a force multiplier. In other words, you make your allies better at what they do. Sometimes you will be the one getting all the kills, but that shouldn't be your focus. You should be enabling your allies to get kills. On the battlefield, sword and shield is usually the most numerous, and 9-foot spear is usually the most deadly, as in they get the most kills other than archers. So it's very important for a great weapon user to think about how to address those two groups, sword and shield and 9-foot spear. Also remember that even with a really long polearm, like a 7'6" polearm, which is the maximum length, you still don't have the reach to compete with a 9-foot spear. So don't get into so-called spear boxing matches with a 9-foot spear, because you're not going to come out on top. You want to practice with both hands, both right hand and left hand leads, so you can attack comfortably from either side. Even though this class is about glaive and greatsword, a lot of the advice will also apply to other types of polearms like axes, halberds, hammers, everything else. Okay. So first thing I want to talk about is open field battles. On open field battles, it's really important to have good battlefield awareness. 9-foot spears are usually focused on killing people. Sword and shield are usually focused either on killing, if they're a really good sword and shield person, or on not dying if they're kind of a newbie. So that leaves great weapons as the best ones to act as kind of the eyes and ears of your side. So look around, pay attention, be aware of what your side is doing, be aware of what the other side is doing. If the enemy is doing something noteworthy, like prepping for a charge, or you see someone going to flank you, call out, say, yell at your allies so they can look around and see what's going on. Look for targets of opportunity. So that means, say, if you're on the line and you'll see that that shield guy over there isn't looking at me, so I can stab him while no one's looking. Or if you see a spear over there mostly alone, I think I can gank him. Then those are targets of opportunity to watch for. Great weapons are really versatile. Look for opportunities to switch between roles, like whether you're on the line or whether you're kind of a skirmisher. Look for opportunities to switch between those roles depending on what your team needs at the time. And I'll go over both of those roles in more detail. So one thing to keep in mind is that this advice about battlefield awareness is kind of based on being tall enough to see over the line most of the time. Because I'm 6'1", I'm not super tall, but I'm taller than average. If you're shorter than average, you might have a harder time seeing what's going on. So if there are any shorter fighters watching, please let me know what works for you and what doesn't, because I would love to learn. Last thing is, watching drone footage of battles helped me learn what to watch out for. So obviously when I'm actually in a battle, I don't have a drone's eye view of the battlefield, but just having watched YouTube videos helped me learn things to watch out for, things to look out for. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to talk about is being on the line versus skirmishing. So when you're on the line, a few things you want to do. You want to block enemy spears, if you can. So important things to watch out for. If there are enemy spears shooting at you, try to block for your allies. What's more, try to make yourself really annoying for those enemy spears so so they start focusing on you instead of your allies. This is kind of related to delaying, which is a topic I'll discuss a little bit later. If your weapon has protrusions for hooking, like a winged spear or something like that, then in some cases that can make it easier to catch and control enemy spears. So think about it. If your weapon has a protrusion like this, then it's easier to catch the enemy spear and control it. That said, you don't need protrusions to block enemy spears. I do it all the time just with, straight glaives like this. Another thing you should do when you're on the line is support your 9-foot spears. You can try teaming up with one of your 9-foot spears and keeping them alive. Fiona, can you assist me? So if Fiona is spearing, I want to stand next to her and block for her so that she can focus on offense. She doesn't have to worry. She only needs to, defend herself against attacks from this direction. She doesn't have to defend herself against attacks from this direction because I've got her covered. So when you're trying to defend your 9-foot spear like that, one option is to use noise and body movement to make yourself seem like a bigger threat than you really are. So make a lot of noise, yell, get the enemy to pay more attention to you, even though your spear buddy is arguably the bigger threat. The exact opposite option is to try to be quiet about it. So if I'm standing next to my spear buddy and I'm just quietly blocking, not making big movements, then it takes the enemy longer to realize that I'm the one blocking all their shots. Another way to support your spears is disrupting enemy shields so that your spears can kill them. Okay, if I have protrusions, like a winged spear or something, if I have protrusions for hooking on my weapon, then I can try to hook the edges of the shield, and that helps.
And then,
yeah, go ahead and keep it up. If I don't have protrusions, then you want to push on the sides and corners of the shield. Against strapped shields, you usually want to push this bottom corner or this top corner, because if their shield is mounted like this, then that's going to twist their shield and open them up to getting hit in the face. If it's a center-held shield, go ahead and face the camera again. If it's a center-held shield, then you want to push on the sides to get the shield to rotate this like this. Another thing you can do when you're on the line is trying to stop charges. One thing that has worked for me in the past, if I see the opponent's trying to charge and they're close enough, I'll use plant and push. So, actually grab that shield again. So imagine that Fiona is going to charge me and she's close enough that I can reach her. If I just plant and push, that will disrupt her momentum and sometimes stop the charge before it starts. Obviously, you need to be very close to the opponent for that option to work. And it also works better with longer weapons. I do it all the time with my 9-foot spear. If you have a 7.5-foot claw arm, then that's probably the best weapon for this kind of tactic. Pushing on the top of the shield usually won't do anything. Pushing on the bottom of the shield can sometimes tangle up their legs and disrupt their movement. Depending on the angle, depending on the angle, you may be able to hit, no, don't move your shield. You may be able to hit this hip here. And so if you push into that hip, even if the opponent doesn't take it as a kill shot, it will still cause them to fold at the waist and mess up their movement and disrupt the charge. And then if all else fails, then just turn your weapon sideways and push on the backs of your shield persons so that it's harder for the enemy to get through. So another thing you can do when you're on the line is killing shields. Normally, 9-foot spears are the primary shield killers. And so this is kind of a secondary role for great weapons. But if you don't have any spears on your side, then you take over the spear's job, basically. So as the lines are approaching each other, so if the lines are advancing, if there's enemy spears, they're going to outrange me, so I don't want to engage them yet. But if there are no enemy spears, then I can step forward and start stabbing shield persons. Obviously, this is easier with longer weapons. Once the lines have engaged, So, shield on shield contact. Don't just start hacking recklessly. Look for targets of opportunity. Look for people who aren't paying attention, and try to hit them. You've got the advantage of a more favorable angle compared to most sword and shield fighters. One thing I often see is glaive fighters using downward chops like this to try to kill shield people. Can you grab the shield again? So if you're trying to use downward chops to kill shield people, that really doesn't work with a glaive. It might work with a halberd or an axe or something with a projecting blade, but with glaives, it just doesn't work. What you should use instead is one of those high angle shots we've talked about. Either the flat snap, or the Zwerkow, or even a pop thrust. So thinking about those high angle shots, the flat snap is really good if I need to hit someone in front of me or to my left. So if the person's in front of me, then I can use the flat snap on that. Or if I'm fighting here and I want to hit that person right there, the flat snap is good for that. Conversely, if I'm fighting here and want to hit something to my right, trying to do the flat snap like that is really awkward. But it's really easy to do at Zwerkow, the back edge shot, to hit him in the head right there. So to recap, the flat snap is good for someone in front of me or to my left, while the Zwerkow is good for someone in front of me or to my right. Obviously, if you're using a left-hand lead, then those directions are reversed. Reversing one or both of your hands might give you a better angle. So if I'm having trouble here, then reversing my top hand lets me get a deeper angle. I don't do that one very much, but I will reverse my top hand when I'm throwing thrusts like this, because that makes it a lot more comfortable to thrust above my head than if I were doing it like this. Especially with like 9-foot spear. If you're a 9-foot spear fighter, then trying to thrust over your head like this is really awkward. But if you switch your bottom hand, it becomes a lot easier. Especially in cramped fights like bridge battles, that kind of thing. Alright, I think that's enough for this video. Next video we're going to keep talking about mass combat, and I hope to see you there.